Have you ever found yourself in a pickle? Have you ever found yourself in a place where you needed help to get out of a situation or just needed help in general? For me, that takes me back to when I was 17. I pulled up to my college, Seattle University, for the first time. It was orientation, and I knew nobody. I had no friends that I knew going to the school, and as you know, I was late to the orientation. So I show up to a big room of over 1,000 people, and in this room, I have no clue where to sit. And the reason why I have no clue where to sit is because I don't know anybody. And usually when you don't know anyone, you're afraid to go sit at a table which already has a lot of people at it.
Saints take it.
And so would you know, I'm looking around, trying to not make it awkward, trying to see which table has space on it. And out of nowhere, somebody raises their hand and is like, "What's up, man?
What's up, man?
Come sit next to me." I remember going to sit next to him and ended up hitting it off. And would you know it, this person actually ended up becoming one of my best friends during college. We became roommates and actually were in each other's weddings and have had a friendship for all these years.
Friends.
And what's funny is when I look back on our friendship and where it's come, it actually wouldn't have been where it is today if my friend hadn't taken the step of reaching out to me and bringing me into his life. I'm more of a person usually who is a little bit more reserved, who's a little bit more afraid to step out there in a brand new friendship and inviting somebody in. And that day, somebody did what I couldn't do to me. And what's funny is in friendships, we find whether we're really good at making friends or whether we're really bad at making friends. The Bible actually speaks a lot about friendship. The Bible actually gives us a lot of insight and a lot of wisdom into what we're to do with friendship. In Proverbs, it actually has some really good wisdom on friendships. And one of the things it says about friendships is that unfriendly people care only about themselves. That being unfriendly is actually a sign that you only care about yourself. It also says that we have a friend who sticks closer than any brother. That not only do we have earthly friends, but we actually also have a heavenly friend in Jesus. And today I want to be able to just give you just a few insights through the story of Joshua and Caleb on how their friendship can actually help us see what our friendships can also look like.
Yeah, that's how friendship works.
The story of Joshua and Caleb, we find it in the book of Numbers, and there was an instance in Numbers 13 where Joshua and Caleb lead a group of spies into what they believed was going to be the Israelites' promised land. At the time, they didn't have a home. They were nomadic. They were wandering. They were leaving Egypt where they were enslaved, and now God was leading them into the promised land. And in the promised land, they go and they see it was full of milk and honey, as they say. It was full of really good fruit, really good food, and the land was really, really good. But one thing that they noticed was that there was people there, and the people that were there were really big and really strong.
Big, strong.
And so even though God's plan was then to take over the land, the people were afraid that if they went there, the people who were really big and really strong were going to defeat them. And in Numbers 14, Joshua and Caleb end up standing up to the people together and telling the people that God's plan for them was actually that they should take the land and that God would give them the victory. And one of the first things I see in Joshua and Caleb's relationship, which is really powerful, is this, and I'll read it in Numbers 14, verse 6. It says this: Joshua son of Nun and Caleb son of Jephunneh, members of the scouting party, ripped their clothes off and addressed the people of Israel. If you look further into what it means to rip your clothes off in that tradition, it's another form of grief. It's another form of weeping or crying. They were in deep grief until they ripped their clothes off in front of the people together. Can I tell you that good friends cry together? Good friends aren't afraid to show their emotions to one another. Good friends aren't afraid of being weak and being open to each other. And not only weak and open to each other, we see that their weakness and openness to each other ends up being an opportunity for them to be weak and open with other people.
You're so honest and open.
Sometimes you might struggle being weak and open to people by yourself, but good friends can actually help you be weak and open to others. And so they cry together, and they end up saying, the land we walked through and scouted is a very good land, very good indeed. And if God is pleased with us, he will lead us into that land, a land that flows, as they say, with milk and honey, and he'll give it to us. Do you know the other thing that good friends do? Good friends believe together. Joshua and Caleb both believed that God could give them this land. Even in the midst of everyone else's disbelief, these good friends believe. Do you have friends that you can look to when you need faith? Do you have friends that you can look to when you need belief? I know in my life, I can look at over the years, even though I don't have as many friends as I once did, maybe in high school or in college, I can tell you the friends that I do have, we believe together. When we've been through hard times, when my family has faced hardship with our son, when our family has faced hardship, when we lost my brother, good friends that I had, we believed together. The other thing I noticed about Joshua and Caleb is that good friends stay together. Good friends don't call it quits on one another when things get hard. Good friends don't call it quits on each other just because people don't agree with them. Good friends don't call it quits just because of their differences. Good friends stay together. Can I tell you today that one of the only ways that you're going to be able to not do this life alone is committing to do this life with other people. Joshua and Caleb were committed to one another, and as a result, God said that even though all the other people, because of their disbelief, would never enter into the promised land, Joshua and Caleb, because of their belief, that they would. And do you know that it actually took 40 years for Joshua and Caleb to enter into the same land that they had scouted and 40 years before had said that they could have taken it with God? 40 years later, God owned up to his promise and allowed Joshua and Caleb, amongst all the people, to enter into the land. Good friends stay together. Today, can I just encourage you? Maybe there's someone in your life that you can think of right now. Maybe you've kept them at an arm's distance because you're afraid of being weak. You're afraid of being open. Can I just encourage you to seek God and ask God to give you the strength to open yourself up, to give you the strength to see which friends you're called to be close with, to give you the strength to make new friends. And maybe you feel like you don't have any friends. Do you know that God wants to give you friends? Do you know that God wants to show you today the people in your life that he's called you to live in community with? And so today, thank you so much for joining. And I really, really believe that in this school year, you are going to continue to make new friends, godly friends that are going to be with you forever. Thanks so much for joining today. We'll see you next time. Peace.